Hey kids, today's topic is it's about how I don't know how to describe it. It's about the opioid crisis, the opioid epidemic. I I'm trying to remember not to call it a crisis. It's about losing people and not remembering their face, like remember the faces. At this point in time, I've been around for a number of years, around the downtown east side, around people using and such, and a lot of people die from it. Okay, it's no secret. A lot of people die, and at this point in time, I've lost so many people that I'm starting to forget faces. I'm starting to forget what they look like, and I don't like that. I should never have. No one should ever have to be in this situation. There are people who've lost way more than me, and that's its own thing. But no one should have to lose this. Like I was talking to my parents and saying, they're in their late 70s now, and at that point in time, for most people, they would have lost more people in their lives than I have. That's not the case. I'm almost 40 and I've lost countless people to the opioid crisis, right? Opioid epidemic. So one of the things I really dreaded about going to prison was coming back out because I never knew who would be dead. There are people. There's someone I remember quite clearly. The poor guy died because of his. He drank a lot of GHB. I can't even remember the full name. Gamma hydroxybutyrate or something like that. And it's the date drug, but however a lot of people use it. If you use it in moderation, it's like being drunk. Okay, so it's not bad. I can't do it because it makes my metabolism go through the roof. I get sick and I puke. Right, so that's good. And so this guy did, from what I remember, his he was diabetic as well, and so that didn't help. He would not eat and not eat, and he would do GHB and just be like on the verge. And people like we would find him, and we'd have to like deal with his goddamn insulin and shit like that, right? And he OD'd on the street. Like he didn't OD, he just fell. He didn't actually OD, but he definitely fell apart from drugs. Like because it was the drugs, the GHB, and the insulin in his blood sugar is just right. It's pretty tragic. There are people I've lost to heroin. There's some guy that literally took care of me. He was a big guy. I'm only started getting a little bit more muscle. I'm still not intimidating by any means, but I've never been intimidating. And this guy would take care of me, and God rest his fucking soul. Just is, hey there, what's going on, man? Fuck, how you doing? I'm like, what the fuck, man? In the middle of winter, he'd be out of his fucking mind, dragging his white coat through the mud and just be like, hey, what's up, buddy? How you doing? Fine. Eh. Love the man, but he was a fucking wreck. But he would stand up for me when no one else would, and I'd help him out with shit, right? We were a good team. We were a good team. And he died. And the very first person I remember, I don't remember the face. I barely remember the name. I think it's start with yeah. Anyways, doesn't matter. It's like nothing. I've lost a lot of people, and now with work, I lose even more people, like clients, all the time, and it hits us all pretty hard. We're pretty hardened down here. However, it's still hard to deal with. It's still hard to take. We have a lot of celebrations of life that like the community that I work with and for, and we all come together as often as I can. I have a hard time going to them. I really do. Like I can't do it anymore. It's like sharing stories. I I can't do it anymore. Like I can lose people, but I just don't want to go to any more celebrations of life, and it really sucks. It really sucks. Oh my god, stupid fucking TV. And it really sucks. So we lose a lot of people, and the reason try to call it opioid epidemic is because it's more of an epidemic. It's more of a poisoning than anything else, and Epidemic means that we we warned you that something was going to happen and no one listened. Crisis means, oh my god, it happened out of nowhere. Bleh. And there really is, there's no magic bullet to cure this. Okay, I'm not going to preach. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh my god. If you believe me or not, it doesn't matter. But I'm living proof that housing, stable housing, is the answer that will help most people. True, not everybody's houseable. We sure as hell try. Some people just don't transition well from homelessness into housing. It's like when you're out on the street for so long, you get used to the stars over your head, and it becomes very much ingrained in you. And some people just lose their shit when they get a place. Some people just don't know how to take care of it. It's like they're still on the streets, but it's in the room. It's contained in the room. So lots of hoarding and things like that go on. But we've got to try. Otherwise, we're gonna lose more and more and more people. Like, I'm the epicenter of it. I live in the absolute epicenter and work in the epicenter of the opioid epidemic in Canada. It's most probably one of the worst places in the world, if not the worst place in the world for drug use as such. I hear sirens on a regular basis. I have fire trucks. I have a fire station about a block away. I have ambulance this way. I have cops across the street. And there are outreach workers all the time. And there are good outreach workers who care, but you can only do so much. So now people are using fentanyl because it's cheaper. And everybody's like, oh, why are they using fentanyl? Why don't they know? It's like, yes, they do know. However, it's cheaper. And if you use less of it, you get really high. This is from what I'm being told, okay? This is what I see. This is what I've been told. Like, it's cheaper. People die from it all the time, though, because they misuse it. And it's something, but addiction is a bitch. And no, you can't just stop. For those of you who've never been addicted to something as hardcore as drugs, you can't just stop. It is the most ridiculously hard process in the world. It's so much so that, like, I have to say, when I have something hard in front of me, I say, I've quit crystal meth. I can fucking do this. That's how I rise to my challenges. It's a dire comparison, but it's there. It's useful. It reminds me of where I've come from. But back to losing people, like, we need to do something. We need to care about people. We can't call people fucking junkies. We can't call fucking people pushers. Society's got to change. We need help, and we're trying. But changing the medical model to accommodate that is really difficult as well. So hopefully, I can do that from the inside. That's kind of my job. Is kind of like a fucking little mole, right? I just don't want. I just don't know if I can keep losing people. Like at work, I've discovered overdoses on my first shift. I had to reverse an overdose. I've like it's frightening, and there's so many versions of overdoses, right? Like there's times where people like, they've put caffeine in a lot of things now, so the caffeine makes you all rigid. You like rigor mortis. I found people pinned under shit, and I'm like, are you awake? Are you awake? Oh fuck, okay. And one of the scary things is when the people do the overdose, they just give them the Narcan, which pulls out all the opioid, right? Like, it's, whew, where the fuck am I? Wow, what happened? People wake up and they're pissed off. They're fucking pissed off. They will right in your face, and there's well, rightly so. It's like getting electrocuted, and all of a sudden you're fucking not high, and you just spent the last like 8 hours looking for trying to grind $20 to get that fucking dope, and now you're just like fuck, like it's bad, it's pissy, right? And there's that. There is the but what people do a lot of times, they forget to give oxygen. So they Narcan and wait until they wake up, but they forget to give the oxygen. And that has been causing quite a bit of brain damage down here. So on top of whatever damage is caused through the overdose, people are having brain damage, and so people are walking around like they aren't the same person anymore. People forget how to use drugs, and then that increases this. We're trying all our best. We're trying to train people to do that, but it's difficult in the moment if you've never really dealt with an overdose. You've got Narcan kit, you've had Narcan training, but you've never had to reverse an overdose. People freak out. And down here, it's just everybody's yelling, and do this, do that, I know how to deal with an overdose, throw water on him, and all sorts of dumb shit. So you've got like this circle around you telling you what to do. Good thing I'm a fucking professional at this point. So I try to reverse as many as I can successfully. Thank God I haven't lost anyone. but we don't get too far from some places, right? And it's hard. It's really hard. It just I fucking hate it. I fucking hate it. It hurts my soul. So I have to build up this heavy wall of separating myself from my work in many senses. And as soon as I'm off work, I'm off work. I see a lot of my clients a lot of time, but as soon as I'm off work, I'm off work. You got to build up a fucking armor. You got to be an asshole sometimes and just do it for yourself and hold yourself together. Anyways, it's it's painful. It's painful down here. We need help. We need love. We need understanding. If you don't get it, ask. Don't just make judgments. Everybody down here is a person, not a fucking junkie. They're a person. And we're losing a lot of people. Think about it, right? Anyways, kids, stay safe. I love you. Good night.